Your news, your way, you're watching Top News Stories with Jabari and Trevor.
On this episode of Top News Stories with Jabari and Trevor, we're going to be talking about the effects that pop culture has on our society.
According to Oxford dictionaries, pop culture is the contemporary lifestyle and the symbols that are well known and generally accepted in a population.
We went around Pennsylvania and asked people if their values and beliefs are being shaped by pop culture today.
All right, we're going to take it to you, Tyler.
So based off today's society, how do you think pop culture has changed it?
I think today's pop culture isn't giving younger people good role models to look up to, because you have people who are just famous for doing nothing, like the Kardashians, people whose art lacks substance. I mean, I just think that we need better role models, people who are actually achieving things in the world, doing good, so that kids have a better example.
So I'm here with Mr. Reese, a gym teacher at our school. My question to you is, how do you feel about pop culture and how it influences this current generation?
I think the current generation is highly influenced by popular culture, and it has a lot to do with technology, social media, and how quickly information can be received, and how that information, true or not, is perceived by people almost instantaneously, and I think it does impact our culture greatly.
So my question to you is, how do you feel about pop culture and how it's influencing the upcoming generations through schools?
I think that it makes people believe they should be something other than who they are, and it constantly bombards people all day, every day with the message that they're not good enough, they're not tall enough, they're not thin enough, they're not rich enough, they're not smart enough, no one's ever going to love them, and these are all false. You're all perfect just the way you are.
So regarding today's pop culture, how are you going to guide your kids to a better road to success?
I think it's something as a parent you kind of have to take each day, one day at a time, because every day pop culture and social media is changing. So I think it's kind of a struggle that parents face to kind of stay on their A game at all times and to try to guide their kids through and explain what it is to be a good citizen in social media.
Thank you, Tyler. Now we will check in with our field reporter, Trevor.
All right, so we have Senora Eisenhower here. My question to her is she worried about her kids with the impact of social media?
I am concerned about the impact of social media in that I see social media distracting students currently, so I'm really concerned that if my own kids continue to use it on a regular basis, that they are going to have attention issues, and not necessarily ADD or something like that, but just not being able to focus 100% on their task, whatever that task may be, because there's a constant distraction of social media.
So we're here with Mr. Mattis here, our choir director here, and my question to him is, how has he seen pop culture influence in the younger generation?
Okay, so I think the more time goes on, the more liberal pop culture becomes in the sense of what people are exposed to. There's a lot more sensuality in TV shows and movies and even sports than there are in the past. And I think that definitely has an impact on the general behavior of the upcoming generation. Along with that, the pop culture idea of social media and Snapchat and Instagram have definitely influenced the way that the younger generation socialize, because they don't really socialize too much face-to-face anymore. Now our social life is online, which then creates a little bit of a problem when people actually have to interact with each other. So we actually have to start teaching those social skills, which we never had to do before, because people now are just socializing online rather than socializing with each other individually in person.
What are your views about taboos in pop culture?
Taboos? What taboos? There are no taboos. Everything's open to anybody, anytime, anywhere, anyway, anyhow these days. It doesn't matter. There are no taboos. Everybody does whatever they feel like doing.
All right, so I'm with Haley here at Penn State, and my question to her is, what do you think is wrong with pop culture?
I think pop culture gives people the wrong image of what should be important in life, and it teaches kids, especially, all the wrong things.
All right, so we're here with Coach McNamee, and we're going to ask him a question about pop culture. So Coach Mac, how have you noticed pop culture change throughout the years?
Well, considering I'm a very young person, it's hard to really give you a long view here. That was a bit of a joke. Pop culture, I think, is something that changes quite often no matter what generation, and I don't think that's any different in this generation, the degree and the extent to which it does change.
So we're here with Mr. Bittner, one of our jazz teachers here, and also music theory teachers at Central Dauphin High School, and we're going to be asking him a few questions today.
Can't wait. Have you noticed music has changed pop culture today?
I feel like music and pop culture kind of go hand in hand like they always have. I don't know that one has necessarily changed the other more so, as far as like they just sort of like coexist and co-evolve, if that kind of makes sense. Things that are happening in pop culture are directly influencing things that you find in music, whether it be lyrics or trends or other things, and sort of vice versa. There's plenty of fashion things that have come out of music, and plenty of fashion things that have influenced music, and plenty of language things that have come out of music and pop culture, and sort of vice versa. It's sort of like you can't have one without the other, almost, in a way, how much they've worked together. This is like the best visual that I can come up with for that music and pop culture, they just really do kind of live hand in hand together.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
How do people conform based on?
So, they always try to hook up with the newest things. Even people who may not just say they don't like rap music, but then Jay-Z and Kendrick Lamar just dropped a giant new album that everyone's talking about, and then all of a sudden that person who strictly only liked country music is now into rap music, like Kendrick Lamar and Jay-Z. They love the new album, even though it didn't come out yet. They should make an album. But they just always want to be in the know of things and be trending, and you have to conform to the idea of pop culture and how it has a broader part in your life than you think it actually does.
Now that was an example of why the journalist should never be interviewed.
Alright, so we're back in our studio right now, and from what we could gather up, we realized that there's a lot of drives in society to want to know the newest thing in pop culture, like the newest trends, what's up, and even there's a lot of drives for even parents to make sure that their kids follow the rules and don't get too far out from other things. Like they want them to stay in lines, and they worry about them sometimes. There's a lot of norms within pop culture that have changed throughout the years, such as drug references in songs. And now, like before, they were like, oh, that's a whole big taboo, like you can't talk about that. But now, every song is either about drugs, sex, or trucks if you're into country music.